Right, I'm going to get the headset on, everybody. I can see people are starting to pop in. Thank you very much for joining. I'm going to now disappear and leave Nick to handle all the housekeeping while I get the headset on, and then I'll jump in and we'll take it from there. Can everybody hear me okay?
Cameron, can you hear me?
Yes, Nick. Good morning. Or afternoon or evening, wherever you may be.
It seems I can't hear you. Can you check your mic, Cameron?
Why can you not hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, you can? Okay, good. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Can you see everything, Nick?
I am just seeing the logo right now, but that could be problems on my end.
Alright, let's restart the stream then. What about now?
Perfect.
Okie dokes. Right, I'm going to shove the headset on now. So I will not be able to... Oh, have I recorded? Let's just make sure. Yeah, we're recording. Okay, good. Right. Good morning, everybody. I will let Nick handle everything until I just get ourselves into Grand Central Station, and we'll take it from there. What time is it? We're a little bit late. We can wait another 2 minutes, can we, Nick? Is that all right? Yeah. All right. Well, we'll give it a couple of minutes. We'll get till 35, and then we'll go to Grand Central Station. But actually, look, the update the room bigger, and there's more space, which is quite nice. This is really nice. So your personal space has become a lot bigger. It used to be quite dinky, quite small. My favourite thing are these books, actually, because they're all stupid. So San is half Danish, so he's made up his own books in here and given himself like the Multiverse is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Multiverse by Sam Shepard. Brilliant. 101 Ways to Drink a Beer. These are not real. Oh, actually, this might be a real book, actually. So yeah, but quite funny, isn't it? Anyway, it's a nice space. I saw San yesterday. For those of you who recognise this space, you'll recognise that this is completely different. It's much bigger, a lot area, very much like a kind of a chalet type feel to it, which is quite nice. But I asked San yesterday what this was all about, because it used to be just like thumbs up and now it's a heart, and he said it was done for Valentine's Day, so it'll revert back to what it was. Okay, we are at 35. We're going to head into Grand Central Station. Before we do that, I just want to welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. This is my personal room in Multiverse. Multiverse Online is a free app that you can download on your Oculus headset. It's only available in Oculus right now. It will be out on Steam. So I spoke to San yesterday, and he said that they are working. They're ready. They just haven't released them. So at the moment, you can only access through the Oculus, which is great. So if you've got an Oculus headset and you want to join me on these VR tours, please feel free. You can download the app directly from your Oculus store. In addition to that, what was I going to say? In addition to that, we will start in Grand Central Station, and the idea here is that obviously if you have any questions about what you see and anything that you want, please message the group. Nick will compile the messages and put the questions to me. Obviously I can't read them because I'm in this space. But yeah, so feel free to ask any questions. Like I say, this is all free. You can download this for free. You can get your own room. You can start looking at the multiverse and start engaging with stuff that is around. So without any further ado, let's head to Grand Central Station. Now, Grand Central Station is exactly that. It's there. That's where we're heading now. Grand Central Station is basically the destination, kind of starting destination point for all of your journeys. Like in a train station, you can have different locations that you go to, and we will eventually be one of the locations through here, or there'll be a portal directly to Checkpoint through us. At the moment, the Metaverse, which is a social VR games magazine that San and the team have done just to demonstrate how that can work. There's Teamverse, which is a zombie first-person shooter, which is quite good fun. If we have time today, I'll take you in there. There's a lot more happening with that, which I can't tell you too much about. There's the maze stuff, which is, again, from the guys. We've got the business park, the planetarium, which we will be going into a little bit later on, so I can kind of demonstrate what else we're doing with the brand. And then we've got the Multiverse Campus, which is where Checkpoint, I think, will eventually sit, because we are effectively kind of trying to push the education side. In here, you will see lots of different people. You probably saw one of the telebots kicking around there. Here, look, here we go. Hey, Raz. These people are real. Hey, man. Disappeared, so it might be a connection thing. Yeah, they've disappeared to a... So that basically means that they've kind of gone off on their multiverse travels. So this is where you kind of start your journey. Everybody starts popping in at the top there, which you can see, and everybody is approachable. This is a social VR experience. And no, you can't harass people. I mean, we've had that question before. Look, if I try to, they just disappear. So you can't do anything with them. I can ultimately try to high-five them, but, I mean, you don't want to be encroaching on people's spaces. So this is where we will start. So from here, let's get to the Checkpoint lobby and take it from there. How are we doing, everybody? Everybody good, Nick? Everybody happy?
Yeah, we might have all rolling with questions.
Yeah.
First question from Adnan. It seems that a lot of projects from 2017 are gone, failed to deliver on their promises. How will Checkpoint avoid the same fate? How can we be confident Checkpoint won't disappear a year from now?
Well, it's quite simple. Checkpoint's been around for 5 years. Before Arabic Gamers, which is where Checkpoint was born from, was launched in 2011, 12. And I've been in the games industry for over 15 years now as a journalist, and I've been a journalist for over 20 years now, so near 25. Goodness gracious me, God, I'm getting old. So the point is that we're very much entrenched in this business. We know the games industry well. The VR space, for example, the multiverse that we've built is an addition to what we already provide. We're a content provider. We're not a kind of tech provider as such. We've partnered with Future Tech Labs because Future Tech Labs has built this incredible, and they've actually changed all of this as well. They've built this incredible infrastructure for VR. We're not paying the cost of the building of the multiverses. There are many projects that are trying to build multiverses, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the best experience to kind of get people on. It's important to also note that San, this is who owns the CEO of Future Tech Labs, our partners, the guys that have built this whole world that you see in front of you. San has been a games developer for a long time. So games that you may have heard of, he was at EA, so he was the guy behind SSX. Burnout Paradise was his game. So it's not something that he's unfamiliar with, but he also launched StarChart VR, one of the first ever, or StarChart AR, one of the first ever AR apps on the mobile devices. So if you had an early iPhone or an early smartphone, one of the very first apps that you could get was StarChart AR, and that allowed you to look at the night sky no matter where you are in the world. It would give you all of the constellations, but it'll also give you details about the distant galaxies and the distant kind of stars and all that kind of stuff. So this isn't just some kind of thing that's been thrown together that's going to disappear. Plus, you've got to understand that Future Tech Labs multiverse project isn't crypto based, and neither are we. Crypto is one of the things that obviously that we look at, but we're not a crypto only company. So it's important to understand that we have alternative revenue streams that we could be utilizing in order to make sure that we don't go under. We will survive bear markets. We're not necessarily reliant on crypto, but we see it as an enhancement to the product. Somebody's mic's on, so if you could just check your mics, please, everybody, that'd be really great if you could just switch that off. All good?
Yes, excellent answer. Next one, crypto lover. What are the other advantages of Checkpoint project? Considering that this Checkpoint project is created under the Cardano, outside of that, some other advantages.
Oh, outside of the other advantages. Hey, Oscar, how you doing? I'm just doing it. Please don't think I'm insane, Oscar. I'm just doing a live tour, so I'm just speaking to the audience. If you want to hang around, you're more than welcome to. This is the Checkpoint space, okay? Okay, man. There's lots of rooms to go and explore. Sorry? I can hear you, yeah. But I'm just going to ignore you for a second, if that's all right. If you want to mute yourself, if you bring up your menu, Oscar, where's he gone? If you bring up your wrist menu, buddy, and if you go to settings at the bottom right, there'll be a mute button if you're trying to mute yourself. Oh, you've done it. Okay, all right. I'll see you. I'm around, so hang around if you want to, okay? Sorry, so what are the other advantages of Checkpoint, sorry, Nick, did you say, other than being on the Cardano blockchain? Is that what you were asking?
Yes, and then in addition to what you mentioned.
I mean, simply put, this is free. All of our content is free. What we're trying to provide is an interface for people to understand how Web3, blockchain, and the multiverses can all come together. And we are a content provider. So I suppose really, I mean, what else do you want, guys? I suppose is the question. It's an interesting question because I suppose what people don't quite get is how we do everything for free, and we'll come on to that in a little bit. But look, we are an established brand, we've got a reputation, and the advantage is that you know that you're getting high quality content from us. The way that which Checkpoint works is we look at video games' impact on society, culture, politics, and education. So we take a little different view on how we approach things. So I suppose that's another advantage. Nobody else is doing what we do properly. And as we go through the rooms, you'll see the kind of content that we create, which will hopefully give you a better idea, a more rounded idea of what gives us a bit of a competitive edge. Is that okay? Excellent. Brilliant. Okay, so I'll just very quickly take you outside because it's quite nice outside. What I want to show you here is this static image. This will all change. You may have noticed when we were in Grand Central Station and in my little room that there's a door directly to the Infiniverse. The Infiniverse is a living, breathing, actual city where... if we have time, I'll take you in there, where you've got skyscrapers. That will eventually replace these back images. So you will be able to look down and have a look at people. I think I've hit my mic, sorry. You'll be able to have a look at people milling around and doing their bits and pieces. So this building will eventually end up in the Infiniverse. We've got a couple of rooms. And we can walk through glass, which is amazing. I love that. So this room... the rooms that we've got are all named after famous developers. We can change them around, but this one demonstrates our bedtime stories, for example, and that's the Livingston Room. So Livingston in charge of IDOS and Lara Croft and first ever kind of RPG games or kind of choose your own adventure guys. Fargo, you may know Brian Fargo. He was the guy that invented Fallout and Wasteland, and so in this room we kind of look at the stuff around the kids. So they're kind of little breakout rooms that if you guys want to chill out with friends and meet in the lobby, this is where you can meet. The Shaffer Room, Tim Schafer obviously from Double Fine and LucasArts and all the cool Monkey Island games and bits and pieces like that. So we've got all of that stuff in here. So that just shows the main magazine and the Miyamoto Room, which is obviously the guy that invented pretty much all of Nintendo's big brands. And this is just a little room here. This is just demonstrating. I'm just going to turn this up a bit. Demonstrating games. So this is a game that I was playing with my friend called Unreliable Delivery or Reliable Delivery Service, and we just kind of use this as a kind of background and a backdrop. You can sit on all of the furniture, by the way. So if you wanted to sit down and have a chat with somebody, then you can. And so this is the main lobby. But what I do want to show you here, hey man, what I want to show you in here is. These portals. So if you go to Checkpoint, if you're at a computer and you're able to open up your browser, I'd suggest that you go to checkpointhub.info. And if you can click on checkpointhub.info, what you will see is a portal like this that allows you access to all of our brand elements. And once you are in there, you can obviously go to Checkpoint Magazine, you can go to Checkpoint Kids, you can go to the Bedtime Stories, you can go to our social media, and basically what we've done is we've recreated that checkpointhub.info in here directly. So these are portals to the different parts of our brands. There will be more doors because obviously we've got quite a lot of content and quite a lot of stuff to show. So this is kind of the entrance lobby, the access point to all of our brand. What we're going to do is that we're going to head to explore the brand first, and then once we've gone to explore the brand, we'll go to the kids magazine, and then we'll go from the explore the brand to the magazine, to the kids magazine, to the classroom, and then back to the kids gallery so you guys can see. That was the portal, by the way, if you managed to catch that up the top there as well. So we'll move to explore the brand, and as we move, I suppose I can take some questions, Nick, if there are more questions to be asked. So this is a great question because actually one of our plans, and it's actually in the roadmap, one of the things that we're trying to do is centralize our CMS, our content management system. What is a content management system? For those of you that don't know, I mean, I'm not technical, so please bear with me. A content management system is the back end of a website in which you input all of the data, all of the articles, all of the pictures, basically everything else. And it tells the website what to display, right? The problem that we have at the moment is that our whole our magazine is produced digitally by a third party. Our podcasts are obviously syndicated by a third party. Our websites are built on WordPress. So all of the content is duplicated or triplicated or quadruplicated, whichever way you want to kind of look at it. And one of the plans is that eventually we will bring all of the CMSs into one and we will build our own CMS. In fact, I shouldn't tell you this, but I was speaking to the web dev who built Arabic Gamers. Now, Arabic Gamers was the first ever website that was built in both English and Arabic from the ground up, that you were able to cross between the same page, and it was a very complicated thing. The guy that built it is, he's a genius. He works for, he was pivotal in Google and lots of kind of big, and with Microsoft, so he knows what he's doing, and so we're having a discussion now about kind of creating that back end. The point to your question is whether or not it would need to be there would need to be a magazine. The answer is plan C is yeah, because not everybody's going to want to experience this in this way. Plus, even though the multiverse allows you to access and interact with our content, it's a very different experience. It's a social experience. And it's an experience where you can discuss content from the magazine. You can discuss the stuff that you've got on the walls. You can discuss that kind of stuff. But it will not give you the same kind of... you won't be able to read especially not with the technology as it is right now. I mean, it's great and it's amazing, but if you want to read a magazine in VR, I don't want you to have a headache. I don't want you to be sitting here reading and getting annoyed with our content and fiddling around with stuff. There's a long way yet to go before that becomes a kind of a seamless experience in that sense. So this space will showcase our work, and you'll be able to interact with the elements of our magazine that are interactable. but it won't replace the magazine. And I don't think Web 3 is going to replace Web 2, not initially anyway. I mean, there's still room for Web 2. Web 3 is just an evolution. Web 3 will still support legacy stuff, so you'll still be able to visit websites. If you don't want to visit them in the multiverse the way that you do, you will have the option to visit them as a normal browser. And in actual fact, the Oculus set has a browser in it, so you could actually open up the browser if you wanted to. I'm just going to see if I can show you. So there is a browser here that you can open up, and you can just jump onto that if you want and use that browser. So I don't. I think especially when it comes to the multiverse experience, it's a different kind of experience. It's a social VR experience, and we have to create content and information that allows people to engage with that content, but also to converse with each other about it, especially if it's a social VR experience. I hope that answers the question. Sorry, thorough. I always think when you say thorough, Nick, I always think, God, I've got to shut up now because I just keep talking. Okay, thank you. Any more? One more? So we're not a business that onboards clients. We're a media outfit. So I suppose the clients will come in the shape of marketing and advertising when we start selling advertising space in that. But that dialogue is already open. We already know everybody in the games industry that we've been around for a long time. We know who to approach for marketing budgets and all of that kind of stuff. So I suppose the answer is really well, maybe I can ask you a question, Matty, if that's all right. What do you mean by clients? I mean, what are you thinking? Oh, I see. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So basically, it's simple. It's free. It's accessible. And on our roadmap, the very first thing that we're going to do, or the very first two things that we're going to do, is first of all make this browser based. So you don't need to have a headset to access it. We know that we could get that done within 6 to 8 months, providing that the resources are available. So that's the idea. And once this is available for people to access through a browser or through a mobile phone or a smart device or a tablet or whatever, that's how we will start bringing people in. And I think the advantage that we have is that we've got content. A lot of people are building multiverses, and there are some multiverses out there that have been around for a while, but they haven't really progressed. And they haven't progressed because they haven't got content, or they haven't got builders in them that allow them to basically populate that multiverse world. What Future Tech Labs has done very cleverly is they've treated their multiverse as a browser, right? And so consider Checkpoint as if it was a web page on a browser. You don't own the browser, but you can build your own website within that browser, right? So you can build your own site, but you don't need to build Firefox or Brave or what are the other browsers? I don't even use a Safari. You don't need to build them because the infrastructure is already here. All you need to do is put your stuff on this so that people can get it. Now, this is the most complete multiverse, we think it is, and actually the ethos of it is very much in line of what we're trying to do, and it's a demonstration page, but there's so much more to it, which when we go to the planetarium, I'll show you. So I suppose the answer is making it as ubiquitous as possible, making it as accessible as possible, making it as affordable as possible, and the affordability obviously comes from the fact that it's free. If you don't even want to visit Checkpoint, you can still download Multiverse online through your headset, and you'll be able to, for free, and you'll be able to kind of visit other worlds. However, what's important to note is that even though Checkpoint is free and the Multiverse is free, the people that are putting the content on the Multiverse might put it behind a paywall. So even though it's like walking down a corridor with all of these amazing doors, but they're all locked. So this is one of the issues that we are trying to kind of showcase, is that actually from our perspective, we don't need to put our stuff behind a paywall. You guys can have it for free because you can get it on the website, you can download the magazine, you can download all the podcasts. So I suppose it's just being accessible and free is the simple answer.
Yep, thank you for that, Taylor. That kind of goes on with the two other questions that we have here. Another one, how do you plan to secure funds for the application? Would you offer a discount for subscription plans? We don't have to answer that. You just explained it was free.
Yep.
So one about securing funds to fill out the platform. There's another one about Simon says that he creates content for the magazine via
Okay, right. Simon says, I'll start with that and then we'll go back to the other one. Sorry, what was the other one, Nick?
about plans to secure funds for the application.
Right, okay. Plans to secure funds for the application. So like I said, we'll start with that and then I'll come back to Simon Says. Excuse me. We've got multiple revenue streams. If you look at the orange paper, you'll be able to see that we do not only the magazines which we can advertise in, not only the podcasts which we can get sponsored, not only the websites which we can sell advertising on, but we've got many revenue. We've got corporate social responsibility revenue streams. The idea is that we're producing content already, right? And if you look at a magazine or a newspaper or anything like that, you'll see advertising. It's an advertising model. It's effectively that's what we're going to be doing. The raise from the coins is just to give the community some kind of ownership. Look, Checkpoint is all about ownership. So we created the kids magazine for kids by kids. We created the main magazine to kind of showcase how important the subject matters in video games are in the real life. We've created this multiverse space and we're raising the money, the IDO, because we want our community to feel a part of it, a part of Checkpoint and its further growth. What you're seeing today and what I'm showcasing to you and what we're discussing, these are all things that we've already done, established, and they're out there. There's other stuff that we've already done as well that we can't talk about, but there's also other stuff that we're already developing, and the future plan is huge for Checkpoint. I mean, this hasn't really scratched the surface of what we're trying to do. So raising funds isn't an issue because once you have the eyeballs and once you have people visiting the space and once you have those analytics, you sell them like any website does, and you sell the advertising space to the people. Now the advantage, and this is a huge advantage with Web3 and blockchain and all that kind of stuff, and it's the same with the multiverse, by the way, and with what we're doing. Data is going to be your currency, right? And we don't collect your data, and we will never collect your data. You never have to sign in unless you're a teacher and there are special reasons for you to sign in because obviously we're safeguarding children and classrooms and all that kind of stuff. But we will never collect your data. You will never have to sign up to Checkpoint for anything. And you will never, ever be approached by us or your data be sold to us because that's all changing with Web 3.0. So you'll be able to come in with your wallet, give as much information as you want to whatever platform that you want. As soon as you leave that site, you take your data with you. Cookies are going to be a thing of the past. So we've never been reliant on that model of cookies or analytics or data selling. That's not what we do. That's not what we're about. But we do have multiple other revenue models that we can kind of instigate, even in a bear market. I mean, that's the point. So I hope that answers the question. Simon says, Simon's always saying, which I love. So Simon, yeah, we produce all the content internally. We there is no reason why we can't take contributions for people. They have to be vetted. The level at which we're writing our content is very, very high, and actually, the best way to demonstrate it is to show you the room here. So this exhibition room here is just to showcase some of the kind of content that we do in both the main magazine and the kids magazines, and we'll just do a quick loop around. So as you can see, we celebrate. We did a whole issue on big data, for example, and we looked at the impact of big data and how that's being represented in video games, specifically Watch Dogs. which I think we've got one of the covers at the top there, which we'll go around and have a look. But so the idea of this content, and this is a good example actually, to your point, Simon. Big data isn't something you can easily get your head around. So when game publishers are making games, they obviously do a lot of research, but not always demonstrate what's in real life, or they're a little bit behind, or a little bit futuristic, or whatever. So what we do is we take a game, or we take a theme, we make a magazine around that theme, and then we really take a deep dive into that stuff. So with this big data one, for example, we spoke to the developers of Watch Dogs. We spoke to Sam Lake, who is the main writer for Remedy. So if you played Alan Wake, or if you played Max Payne, or if you've played Quantum Break, or if you've played Control recently, all of those are written by Sam. So Sam is very entrenched in that world. So he obviously... So Quantum Break and Control were two games that dealt with big data. So we spoke to Sam Lake. We spoke to the Ubisoft guys that made Watch Dogs. We spoke to a guy called Professor Alan Woodward, who is former GCHQ, former MI6, former Interpol, Europol, or he still works with Interpol and Europol as far as I know. I don't know if he is former MI6. I'm convinced he's former intelligence agent, but he was certainly at GCHQ. So he knows all about the exposures of big data. So this is the kind of the access that we get as journalists. And then we spoke to some scammers, so who've used big data to scam. So what we do is we have a whole conversation about it, and we create an audio documentary, but we also write a long form feature. So they're quite specialist in the way that we create the main magazine. Now, again, this magazine was themed all about women, so we did a whole thing about women in games. Shannon Loftus, who's one of the top people at Microsoft, spoke to us, so we were able to talk to her, as well as Megan Marie from Crystal Dynamics, who was community manager. I don't know if she's still the community manager, but she helped rebrand and relaunch Lara Croft from the short hot pants, big boobed thing to a more human woman, and so there's more discussion around that. The Yakuza here, we did a whole kind of deep dive into the Yakuza, where we spoke to somebody from the Yakuza as well. So you can see that the content that we're doing is quite highbrow and quite deep. Surrey and Livingston, so obviously from IDOS fame and Lara Croft and roleplay games and mud games and all that kind of stuff. Brian Fargo, who we mentioned before, the inventor of Wasteland and Fallout. I mean, so these are people that we can just pick up the phone and speak to. David Braeburn from Frontier Games. So they're responsible for Elite Dangerous. They're responsible for Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, all that kind of stuff. Sir Jason Kingsley, who is Rebellion CEO, and he's done stuff around Sniper. He does Sniper Elite and Judge Dredd. They own the license to Judge Dredd as well, which is cool. So what we do is we take all of the subject matter. So with Jason's thing, we looked at Sniper Elite. There's the Watch Dogs cover. We looked at Sniper Elite, and in Sniper Elite, obviously Carl Fairbairn, who's the protagonist, if it weren't for him, it seems that the whole world would have lost to the Nazi encroaching army. So we spoke to him about the importance of historical storytelling in video games, and how do you balance that? Because in the future, children will use that as reference points to history. Battlefield, for example, is a great example. 1942 or Battlefield, I can't remember. They change them up so often, that those two, but they kind of take you through. So Battlefield 5 and Battlefield, that was set in the First World War. So you're reading the stories of these people. So how much of it is entertainment and how much of it is true? What are we taking away from it? What sticks in our minds? So it's important. David Braeburn, because of Elite Dangerous, they feedback. They do amazing computational science in real time in space. So when you're in Elite Dangerous flying, what you're actually doing is doing what, I don't know if anybody is old enough to remember, there was a program called SETI when I was at university, and you used to be able to keep your computer running on the background so that it would search for, I think they were looking for extraterrestrial life or intelligence or something, but it was constantly processing in the background. And that's what Elite Dangerous does now. So as you're flying around, it's doing these computational things for space, and then the Frontier guys are working with the European Space Agency, with NASA, and feeding that data back. So it's really interesting stuff. Brian Fargo spoke to us about Wasteland and how Wasteland came about, and how Wasteland was only started really because he was trying to get the Fallout IP back, because Bethesda pretty much screwed him over. So, I mean, they're really interesting conversations. So Ian Livingston talks to us about, obviously, his history, the Choose Your Own Adventure game. So you've got all of that stuff going on. So you can see it's all quite highbrow, quite in depth. We look at the impact of gaming on children. Obviously, all of our front covers are animated. You can't see it on here because we haven't got the proportions right yet, but they will all they'll animate you if you download the magazines, which are available for. I mean, you can download them on your app stores, or you can go to magazinecloner. Is it Magazine Cloner? Pocketmags.com, and you can browse it as well directly there. But we look at, obviously, this is the theme. The theme for this one is big data. So that's all the kind of stuff that we put in it. All of our content is interactive. So you've got audio, you've got video, you've got puzzles and bits and pieces that you can play with it, so you can interact, and it's all held within the thing. And then we have this cover. This is an important one for you guys waiting. The Kobe Bryant cover. I'm just going to say the Kobe Bryant cover again. I'm just going to say Kobe Bryant one more time, just to make it clear that this is something that you might need to pay attention to, that you may want to find out about Kobe Bryant. But basically, we celebrated Kobe Bryant when we lost him. Say we lost him as if he was a friend. When the world lost Kobe Bryant, we then kind of shifted and we did a whole sports issue, and we used Kobe Bryant to basically celebrate a sporting issue, which is what we did. So what we did was we looked at, obviously, the history of sports games and how they've evolved. We looked at this really interesting article here, actually, which we did with Sky Sports and EA. So FIFA obviously is a massive game, but when it came to actually doing when COVID was around and the teams were playing their matches, for example, nobody was allowed to attend the matches. So there was this really kind of weird vibe in the stadiums, and the players weren't kind of getting their head around it. So EA and Sky Sports is a broadcaster in this country, got their heads together and they created artificial crowd noises using EA's stuff in order to make the players feel a little bit more at home, so they didn't feel so empty playing these massive matches. So it's a really, really interesting kind of concept. So that's the main magazine, and then we come to Checkpoint Kids. What I need to say before we get into Checkpoint Kids is, just so that everybody's aware, we will never, ever, ever, ever advertise to children. There will never be any kind of ads. There won't be any kind of remnant ads, nothing like that. We won't take any advertising in the kids magazine or in the kids podcasts or in any of the kids products. I think it's important that we note that. They're not there to be sold anything to. One of the things that I love is the bedtime stories. The bedtime stories is really kind of close to my heart. And when I say that we haven't even scratched the surface of stuff, the bedtime stories is one of the things that you guys have no idea where we're going with that. There's a whole amazing strategy that's already done. We just need to get some just to get some backing behind us and get all of this multiverse stuff working, and then we can kind of focus on this because it's integral to what we're doing in here. And that's all I'm going to say. Bedtime stories were made if you have children and you have problems getting them calm, getting them to sleep. We make these ethereal bedtime stories that are written by me and by Chris, the editor of the the kids magazine, and then we create bespoke music for those bedtime stories. So they're all composed from scratch, and they help put your kids to sleep. And I mean it. Everybody that everybody that's fed back to us has said that their kids haven't slept, and within 10 minutes before the end of the story they're asleep, and each story is between kind of 10 and 20 minutes long, and that we've got, I think, around 30 stories, and they're constant. There's more and more, so we're putting up another one later this week. I was just listening to the audio this morning from the composer, so that sounds really lovely, and we're going to be tweaking that and finishing that off soon. This one's a Sonic story, this one's a Planet Coaster story, so you can see that there's, we've got lots of stories there that we can that you guys can listen to, and obviously they're free. You can download them from any of your podcast providers, or you can download the app on the App Store. Just look for the Checkpoint Kids Bedtime Stories. In the last year and a half, we started them a year and a half ago, we've had over 3.5 million plays. So they've done well. I mean, and that's given us one of the reasons why we're kind of moving on with the bedtime stories as our future plans. One of the things that we do, like I said, the kids magazine is for kids by kids. So what we do is we invite them to write content. We invite them to produce the work. We invite them, excuse me, sorry, I had a curry last night and it's probably not the best idea. We invite them to write content. We invite them to be the guest editors. We invite them to come in, and we invite them to create the content. The kids magazine is for them. So we give them a theme, we create the content, but then we let them produce the work for it. Again, these are all free and available to download on the app, or if you want to kind of browse it on the browser, you can go to Pocket Mags, but you can get them on Google Play or the App Store as well. And it's a really lovely thing, but the kids magazine is much more than just a magazine. We provide learning materials for schools. Those learning materials actually adhere to the national curriculum, which is in the UK. So the EBAC, which is it's a baccalaureate kind of thing. So we take a lesson and a theme, and then we create lesson plans that teachers can use in class. Those hit the national curriculum attainment targets, which is what they have to hit. And instead of using things like Shakespeare and Chaucer and all of these archaic and stupidly written things that are in a different language that have got no relevance to children, that were never written for children in the first place, we use things like Mario and Sonic. We call that cultural capital, and that cultural capital allows the children access to harder subject matters, but they're able to relate it. So, for example, if you speak to a child about Mario and jumping over on a platformer and this, that, and the other, and you talk about physics in that way, and you start talking about mechanics, I mean, it's a little bit too advanced for them, but you see what I'm saying is that they're able to relate it a lot more. We never ask the children or the teachers to play the game. In actual fact, we don't expect them to play the game, and we don't expect them to even know some of the games. The idea is that we know that the children know video games and understand them, so we use that as a launch pad to teach. The feedback that we've had from the schools has been incredible, so much so that this woman here, Lucy, who's one of the teachers, took our learning materials and actually did her accreditation to go into senior management, or not senior management, into management using our materials. Out of a cohort of 168 children, usually with those kinds of things, teachers get an engagement of around 60-70% at most. We had an engagement of 99 point something. Basically everybody but one in the cohort of 160 new games and got really excited, and they produced these amazing board games, which we'll come on to a little bit later on. But the lesson plans aren't just about creating lessons. What we do then is we show children a route to industry. People don't know, or especially with children, they don't realise that you don't have to be a YouTuber to be in the games industry, right? That's one of the things. So we show them access to industry, and we connect the games to industry. So, for example, we've done stuff with the European Space Agency. We got the children to do a lesson, and they did a lesson around Mars Horizon, was the game that they used, and they were starting to think about planning missions, and how they plan the missions and how long they would take and what resources they need and all that kind of stuff before launch. Again, this was all done in class, so they're kind of project-based work. And then we got the children to interview the European Space Agency, not just the European Space Agency. They interviewed the guy that flies the solar orbiter, this thing here that's actually in space right now. So he was talking to them, and he was talking to the satellite at the same time. They spoke to the operations manager, and what we did is we spoke to them about the impact that video games had on their job. So the guy that flies this orbiter right now told the children that he spent his time at university learning physics and kind of rocket science through Kerbal Space Program, because Kerbal Space Program is an accurate simulation of rocket dynamics and space and everything else. So he was able to learn that from the kids' faces. It's just incredible that when they start realizing that there are other options. You know, you could be a marketeer, you could be a scriptwriter, you could be a UI designer, you could be an artist, you can be anything. You can be a lawyer, you can be there are millions of jobs within the games industry that I don't think children quite understand, and that's one of the key things that we try to showcase is that there are all of these jobs, but there are also routes to other jobs. You can take that skill set that you learn and apply it to industry. We've had the kids speak to the United Nations. obviously Safer Internet Day, which has just been, this was from last year, but this was all about climate change. So the United Nations did a whole promotion about obviously saving the planet last year, and so we ran a whole feature on that, and obviously got the kids to get involved with that. The National Schools Observatory, another great organisation here in the United Kingdom, they allow children access to telescopes so they can look at the stars. And we're not talking about just kind of any old telescope. This is one is in Gran Canaria, so this is one of the biggest, the best telescopes in the world, and they allow the kids some time. So we had the head of the National Schools Observatory, Professor Andy Newman, who showed or Newham, I can't remember, Newham, it must be on here. Newsom, Andy Newsom, spoke to the children about how he got into it, and he actually allowed them to take a picture of the sky, and he went through the stars and what it is with them. I mean, and all of this stuff, by the way, is available in the magazine, so you can actually download it, look at it, read it, get involved with it, and see what the kids, and just see how their faces respond and react. We had an Olympian, a bronze gymnast, who joined the kids and spoke to them about what he learned from video games and all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, what we try to do is create these incredible experiences for children that they learn from them and that they walk away with something more than just about the video game. How can video games help them? We want to try to prepare children to use their intrapersonal skills, that skill set, that bravery, that courage, that resilience, to be able to apply that to anything in the world that hits them. Because when they get to secondary school, when they get to kind of the more difficult things, the foundation of learning becomes harder to kind of establish, and they revert back to the skill set that they've been taught at school. And in this country, at least, and I know globally, one of the things that is problematic is that children aren't prepared and don't have the foundation because they're crammed with so much. So there's no critical thinking. They're just told formulas. They're told that that's what they have to learn. They're told this is what they have to memorize, and they do it. And we try to kind of stop that by allowing them to step back and think about the process in which they're doing, and allowing them to fail. These are all things that video games do for them. If a child doesn't finish a level, they don't throw the controller and walk away. They try again. They persist, and they increase their skill set. And this is what we're trying to kind of demonstrate through the magazine. This was our first ever cover, actually, March 2017. In actual fact, the day the IDO finishes is the day we released our first ever magazine in 2017. So it's a lovely little kind of a return. And Arabic Gamers was launched in March, on March the 17th, 2012, or 2011 as well. So March is a really it's turned out to be quite a lovely date for us. Not that it matters to you guys at all, but it's just something that I've just noticed. So that's just a very brief outline on the brand and what you can get now. Like I said, everything is free. Just very quickly with the learning resources with the teachers, we'll do more of that later. But if you want to download them, they're available on checkpointkids.com. They're all free. You can see what we're doing, which subject matters that we're dealing with, what age groups that they're targeted. We really look at the age group between kind of 6 to 11. That's kind of our target audience for the learning materials. But there is also home learning stuff, home learning materials that people can download, and kids can use basically independently from their what am I saying? Independently from their grown-up, so that they don't need a grown-up to help them with that. So I've realised I've looked at the watch, and I've realised I've been here for about 20 minutes just rabbiting on. So I'll shut up now. I'll take some questions as we move to the next stream. Sorry about that, guys. I hope that's helped, though.
Yeah, so start. We got some interesting questions here. One from GMCL. Is it more profitable for the artists to make NFTs compared to other vendors? What's the trend in traction for artists and creators with NFTs?
Okay, it's a good question. Nick, can you? So, what is the question about creating NFTs in our space? Is that what the question is? I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the question. Okay, so Okay, well, I mean, look, it's an option. It's not our business model. Our business model is we have our own artists. We obviously have contacts with the games industry. NFTs is a dirty word at the moment in the games industry, so that's something that we're in a position to kind of help educate because of our background and our history and everything that we do. But I suppose the question is, so we haven't opened that up. We will be. The idea is, look, we want to democratize everything, right? And not least, I don't think I've mentioned this to anybody before, outside of the team and outside of our kind of people. But the plan with the NFTs is quite simple. We create trading cards, right? There are 100,000 of them. 80% of them are 1-star rated. 10% or 15% of them are 2-star rated, and 3% of them are 1-star rated. If you guys have read the orange paper, you'll understand how that NFT model works and what the evolution of those NFTs are, and that's great. We will be producing the NFTs internally, but there is a plan, and it's something that we've already started doing, to commission artists to create NFTs, cards, trading cards, for Checkpoint. Now, why do we do that? We do that because we will cover the costs of the minting and the distribution and everything else. We have an audience, and if it's relevant for the artist, then if they can create a video game based set of NFT cards, then they benefit from it, but they also get access to our community and our audience. Now, what does that mean? It means then that instead of you trying to mint stuff on an Ethereum layer 2 solution or otherwise, where you're spending a huge amount of money minting, and then you're spending a huge amount of money people trying with gas fees and transactions and all that kind of stuff, we do it on the Cardano blockchain. And actually, we are, I can't talk too much about it, but we might have a marketplace solution almost immediately that we can put into the multiverse, which is really exciting. But it allows you to access our audience, and it allows you to take a royalty from whatever it is, and it's also quality assured, quality controlled, and it's approved by Checkpoint. Now, that works on multiple levels. Up and coming artists who find it hard to break through the noise on places like OpenSea and Rarible and all of these places, which are just, I mean, they're just, it's insane. The volume is incredible. There's some of our NFT cards there as well. The volume's incredible, but to be able to make an impact, to be able to make any kind of awareness of your product, and I know because I've tried. My wife's an artist. I've tried putting some stuff up on there, and there's just so much noise. But we curate the cards then with you guys. You guys take a royalty off it, and this is something that's in the future. It's not something that we're doing immediately. And you take a royalty, and every time the cards get sold, you get a royalty from it. But it also means that it's affordable, and it's affordable for everybody, right? But it also means we could end up having artists, famous artists, that want to produce content for us that we then distribute. Can you imagine if we had Banksy come to us and say, look, I want to create 20 cards for your, for the 20 NFTs for you guys for cards. Then we sell the Banksy NFTs for $1.99. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's about democratizing the whole space, making it your space, making it accessible, and everybody benefiting. I think that's the kind of the key point that we want to kind of get across is that this is your space, but it's our space, and if we all work together, everybody can benefit. It may seem like a bit of a kind of a fob off answer, but I suppose in simple terms, initially you won't be able to create NFTs for us. There will be other NFTs that we will be doing that aren't card based, which I'll explain a little bit later on. The NFTs that you will be able to contribute to us will come in card form, and we will curate them, approve them, sign them off before we mint them and sell them. So I suppose, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Next question is about how will Checkpoint ensure liquidity early on of the token, and what benefits will be provided to the users that ensures liquidity?
Yeah, so liquidity. So we're talking governance token, or we're talking a utility? Because the utility token isn't going to come later on. So I'll answer both. I suppose it probably makes sense. The utility token is not about creating liquidity. We've got obviously a reserve fund. All of that stuff is available on the orange paper, so you can see our token allocation and our breakdown. But we've built in a huge amount in reserve and in treasury in order to make sure that the liquidity stays liquid. However, it's important to note that the governance token is really about governance. So think about it as kind of a traditional share in a traditional market. The idea of that is that we create a community that are invested in the brand, that as the business grows, obviously we can't speculate on price or anything, but you would expect then that the governance token will, based on economy, will grow with the value of the business as well. But that is a very specific model based on kind of investing in effectively a share in Checkpoint. So you get a voting right. Anything that we develop, we will then ask the community what they feel. We'll take a vote and we'll move on. And that's the same way in which Cardano works on their kind of funding proposals. The community drives it, and that's kind of where we're going in. So as far as liquidity is concerned about the governance token, there's no real issue around that, because it's a governance token, it's a stake, it's a share, effectively, in as much as it is what it is. The utility token, which will come further on down the line, it's not about, the whole point of that is to maintain liquidity. We want that to be fluid as it can be, right? The reason is because you have to see it the same as you see Robux or V-Bucks or any in-game currency that you use currently. It's there to facilitate the sales of our merchandise. When I talk about merchandise, that merchandise is what I'm talking about, NFTs, but we see NFTs as merchandise and digital assets. So that we've got a much bigger strategy with NFTs. The idea is that facilitates the sale of our merchandise within our world. So we don't want it to kind of fluctuate massively in price. We want to try to maintain a stability, if you like, with the price of the utility token, because it is there to facilitate the sale of content. And when I mean content, I mean NFT content. I don't mean access to articles or content that is already available and will always be available for free. So I suppose that's really the simple answer. There's more about that on the orange paper if you want to know more about it. And I think I went into a little bit more detail with that in an interview that I did recently as well, which I think Nick can post. But I hope that answers the question. That's all right, you carry on. What I'm doing is, guys, I'm just showing you some of the content that we've already done in the video games. There's Kate Edwards, who's awesome. She's in the magazine. We did a whole thing about Japanese games, and we did a review. Actually, this is the early on we did reviews in the magazine. The magazine doesn't do reviews. The magazine is all about long-form op-eds, features, in-depth interviews, comment, and all that kind of stuff. The website, checkpointmagazine.com, is all about news, reviews, previews. But yeah, it's kind of how we break our content down. But this is just a bit of an example of the kind of stuff, the kind of content that you can expect to see in the magazine. So we take games and we look at how they comment on life, which is how we can relate it, which is basically the whole point of the magazine. Nick, just interrupt me when you're ready to ask your questions, buddy. I'm just going to keep talking like a maniac. Not initially, no. I mean, like I said, look, there could be a point where we go, you know what, we can buy back the tokens, and we'd like to buy back the tokens, but the whole point of the governance token is to give you guys a say, the community a say in which direction we take the brand. So if you want to sell your tokens back to us, then great, but we haven't really, we did, I'm not going to lie, we did consider the kind of the buyback and the burning, but we're not going to be burning tokens. We've got a limited supply of tokens. There's 1 billion in circulation. The utility token will probably have a kind of a cap as well, whatever that cap is, enough hopefully to facilitate the sale, the liquidity of the thing. But the idea is that we don't necessarily, with the utility token at least, the whole point of it is not to hodl it. The whole point of it is to buy it like you would buy for Robux or V-Bucks, and literally buy it with Cardano and then spend it on whatever you want in there. So the liquidity model kind of works there. But yeah, there's no burning because we've got a limited supply. And if you look at the tokenomics and our allocation, you'll see that we've really thought hard about how we do it. I'd rather invest in charity and carbon offsetting as we grow than try to mess around with the tokenomics of the coin. The coin is pretty straightforward governance, straightforward utility. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Next question. From Lydia, an interesting question. Besides being on the Multiverse website, do you have physical copies of the kids magazine and Checkpoint magazine?
No, great. A really good question, actually, Lydian, and thank you for asking that. Simply no. There are three main reasons. The first one is the carbon footprint of producing a magazine is just ridiculous. By the time you print it and by the time you distribute it and by the time you get shelf space for it, and you have to build an audience for it, that physical. I mean, look, I come from traditional print background and traditional broadcast background, and I've seen the decline of sales. And it's not something that I really want to kind of get involved with or get into, especially with you've got the kind of the carbon element to it, the logistical element to it. So I think and that's one of the reasons why we went digital, right? That's one of the main reasons, because we can distribute it. We're not printing God knows how many copies that don't get sold, that get scrapped or pulped or whatever. And I'm not saying that they would. So that's one reason. The second reason is that part of the whole point of Checkpoint is a digitally interactive magazine, and you can't do that in a physical magazine. You can't click on a button that plays the audio for you or plays a video for you or pops the answers up from the did you know. You have to flick to the back, turn the magazine upside down and look at it. And the third thing is accessibility. If we did a physical magazine copy, we would have to put a price on it, which means that immediately the audience that we're aiming for children, that we have to speak to the parents in order for them to be able to understand what it is that we're doing so that the children can buy the magazine. And the children don't necessarily want to be buying magazines like that. They want the magazines with all the plastic crap that you get with it. And I mean, I've got 2 kids and I know, having a magazine like this would be amazing. But if you had a choice between this magazine, physical, and a magazine, I don't know, for kids that comes with a notepad and a plastic toy and all of the stickers that you can think of, we're not going to compete. So unless the kids know about Checkpoint, it's very hard for us to then, because it'll be the kids that, like they do with Robux, I want Robux, like they do with that. They would need to be doing the same with Checkpoint magazine. But I mean, to be honest with you, there is no plan to make it physical. We will, and we have. I mean, one of the things that we did do when we launched Checkpoint initially was we set up a Patreon, which failed miserably because we just didn't do any promotion with it. I didn't really know how to understand to do it. But one of the things that we did was that, and obviously the cost of printing a magazine is high, but we did. And we might do this again, actually, if we can. Maybe we'll do some special one-off printed magazine versions that we can send to some of our bigger patrons or some of our bigger investors and what have you. It is something that I would like to see the magazine in physical copy, but it's not feasible, and it just becomes a vanity project, and we're not in the business of wasting resources, time and everything else just so that we can feel good about ourselves. He says in a multiverse that we've just basically created. So yeah. As Nick's thinking of or bringing up the next question, I'm just going to quickly run through this room because we've been in here for a little while now. This is the main magazine room, and as you can see, there's some breakout rooms in here. Because it's a social VR experience, you'll be able to hear other people, but if you go into these rooms and sit down and have a chat, you'll be able to talk to them. Very quickly, again, this isn't finished, I'm just showing you this because you guys are here, and thank you for joining us. But we can demonstrate some of our content in here as well, so there could be videos. We could even jump into games, other VR games, so we can connect to other VR apps within here that are on the Oculus thing and jump straight to them, which is quite exciting. But also we can have, you remember when I was talking about marketing and advertising, we can have any kind of advertising or marketing in here as well. And this room is a little bit bare at the moment, but we are going to be adding more elements in here and more interactive elements. So all of the rooms that you've seen will have had a stand next to them. There will be a button that you'll be able to press that will play the audio, for example, or play a video in a screen, or elements that you'll be able to pick up and interact with. More about that a little bit later on. But I just wanted to quickly show you this room because I think it's important that you get an idea of the different types of rooms that we're building. Right, I'll jump into the next room, and Nick, if you want to fire some questions, that would be great.
Yes, I'm going to combine two questions into one here from Dr. Mikey. COVID-19 has slowed down the economies around the world, but as living businesses, this affects you negatively or positively. Are you still investing in new development? Second part of the question, regarding the current market situation is very unstable. Many investors holding them back a little bit. Give me some good reasons why you might still be in this current market. Why should the person hold?
Yeah, great questions. I mean, I'll try to answer them combined, if that's okay, because I think there's a lot of crossover between the things that have been mentioned. Yes, the crypto market is extremely volatile. There's no denying that, and anybody that gets into it should know that. And if they don't know that and they're getting into it, then woe them. And I mean, it's do your own research, right? And that's the point. Checkpoint isn't a crypto business. I think, and I've said this before, and I think I should really, really keep reiterating this. We are using the blockchain and crypto and Web3 and Multiverse to enhance our already existing offering, right? So if a bear market comes, then a bear market comes. We're not reliant on crypto. We're not reliant on the value of the coin going up and down to help our development. We have other revenue streams. Those other revenue streams come from advertising, corporate social responsibility, partnerships. There's a whole load of other things that we do that allow us to access revenue in a different way than just a purely crypto business. We are not a crypto business. Crypto is part of our business, but we are not a crypto business. I've personally been involved in crypto since about 2015-16, right? So I understand. I've done my own research. I've been burnt, guys. I was there when Ethereum was being sold at like $20, $30. This is early day stuff when there were only 20, 30, 40, 50 coins on the market, not these hundreds of thousands of coins. So I've been through the bears and the bulls, and I understand good projects. I've invested a lot of time looking at projects, but Checkpoint is not a crypto project. And I think it's just really important that people understand that. We are a content brand utilizing crypto, the blockchain, the multiverse, Web3 to showcase what the next iteration of interaction with our audience is, right? So that's the first thing to say on that. We have multiple other revenue streams, and again, all of those are outlined in the orange paper, so please have a look at the orange paper if you haven't already, and you'll be able to see the other revenue streams and how little crypto impacts our business model in the long run. The reason that you'd invest in this business is because you're investing in a business and not in a coin, right? The other thing is that we have excellent, I mean, we've been in the games industry for a long time. There is nobody that we don't know, right? There's nobody that we know. We're also very much promoters, champions, if you like, of using this technology and moving forward and being at the cutting edge, which is why we're members of the Blockchain Game Alliance. You know, we believe that those affiliations and those things show that we aren't just here for our own benefit. We're working as an alliance with other like-minded developers that are making games on the blockchain, and we are at the forefront of that. So the Blockchain Game Alliance is a really important part of the journey, I think, for the games industry specifically, in this space specifically. There's a lot of specifics, but we're in a unique position to know what those specifics are. We're in a unique position to know where the games industry's mind is at. We're in a unique position to then open dialogue with other developers and publishers. We're in a really unique position as a brand to be able to do that kind of stuff. So why should you buy the token? Well, you should buy the token because you want to be a part of an incredible journey that Checkpoint is going on. And like I say, what I'm showing you now is literally scratching the surface. This is V1 of something that already exists. And I mean, look, for example, why wouldn't you invest in Checkpoint? I mean, when you look at other multiverse projects, I can't really think of any other project that's as complete as hey, there's a guy down there, as complete as Checkpoint is, or the Checkpoint multiverse is, and that's because we partner with important businesses. Future Tech Labs that built this multiverse, they're not even on the blockchain, right? They are an independent business, so we're not even relying on the blockchain success of this on the blockchain. This is a business in its own right. Whether the blockchain continues or not, whether people invest in it or not, whether this will continue to exist. And there are plans with this multiverse. San and I, the CEO of Future Tech Labs, we went out for dinner last night and we were talking. I can't tell you, but there's a huge plan for this, not least the Infiniiverse that already exists. So I hope that answers the question. There's no Kobe Bryant in here, by the way, guys, just so that you're aware. There's no Kobe Bryant in here, just to make it clear. Go on, Nick, sorry. So one of the first things that we're going to do is audit after we haven't written the smart contract yet. So that's one of the first things that we're going to be doing once we've finished our IDO and we've raised our funds. The two things I said to you before, the two things that we're doing. The first is making the ubiquitous access to the multiverse, but then obviously before that, we obviously have to kind of get the tokens smart contract written, and they will be audited. I mean, Nick will probably be able to give you a bit more details about who's going to be auditing them, but we're not looking at being audited by some unknown entity. They will be audited, and they will be safe, and they will be, they will be as safe as you keep them, based on the wallets that you do. So yes, we have thought about security. We haven't written the smart contracts for the coin or the token yet, but that will happen as soon as we obviously raise our funds, get the development smart contract on, and the first thing that we do before we distribute those tokens is make sure that they're audited. Is that fair, Nick? Yeah. So yes, of course. I mean, the answer to that is that yes, but there are much smarter people than me working on cross-chain, right? I'm not a developer, but cross-chain is something that's been around been discussed for as long as I've been in crypto, because that it's a really big deal. San and I were talking about this yesterday, and one of the really cool things that we're doing in Multiverse here, I'm not going to tell you about it because I'm not really allowed to, but yes, SAN is open for cross platform things, and because we're building on the Cardano blockchain, there's going to be cross-chain activity. Like I say, the blockchain is here, crypto's here, Web3's here, multiverses are here, and people are already working on cross-chain. And yes, it would be amazing for you to take your Checkpoint NFTs and display them in your Axie Infinity world or in your Uplands world or wherever it is that you want to put them. But just a quick note on that. Your NFTs will be based in your wallet, right? So wherever you go, as long as that blockchain is supported, you'll be able to then display it. And that's the key element here. So it's really about cross-chain, and cross-chain is coming. I don't know when. I'd like to think within the next 2 years, some smart genius will have figured it out and will have be able to make it work. But look, it's coming, and there are much smarter people than I working on that right now. And I'm sure we'll see something. I mean, we've got Chainlink, we've got all of these kind of projects that work on cross platforms. So yeah, it will come, and we're already preparing for it. And I can tell you this, for example, you will be able to physically hold your NFT cards in the multiverse. So when you buy our trading cards, there will be a room where you can physically trade and look at them in 3D in VR. But there will also be a version for them in the wallet, so that you can see them and display them in other places. And SAN is working on a really clever thing as well, because we're obviously integrating a wallet, and we're integrating hopefully the Cardano blockchain into well, it will be the Cardano blockchain into the multiverse. So that's what we need to do. We need to raise the money to be able to start development of that Cardano blockchain, and everything else will start falling into place. The esports market, I mean, we're not capturing any market. We serve the esports market. We did a whole issue on esports and the rise of esports and the transferable skills between. I mean, I did a thing on in the main magazine about kind of transferable skills. So I played a lot of car simulators like Project Cars and Forza and Assetto Corsa and all of those kind of games. And then I went to somebody that we know, a guy called Darren Turner, who's the Aston Martin test driver. He's a Formula One test driver, but he also won Le Mans in 2016 for Aston Martin. And I said to him, and he runs a simulator for Formula One drivers, so they can go in and they can practice their driving, and it's all. I mean, it's an incredible place. You can download the magazine and have a look at it. But I went to him and I said, listen, I've been driving these simulators on my Xbox, not even on PC, on an Xbox with a steering wheel and everything else. Do you reckon I could beat the pros? And he said, well, let's have a look. So he put me in the simulator for 6 weeks, and we did some training, and then I went round to Silverstone, and I was 1 second behind the pros. So that's the kind of stuff that when you talk about esports, we look at the impact of esports. So the pandemic is a really good example. Especially with the pandemic, more people started becoming more aware of esports. Big games like Fortnite obviously have big prize funds for winners of esports, and usually those are kids. So there's a lot to be kind of desired. We will always cover esports, and we will always be at events for esports, but we're not serving the esports market as such. The only way that we would serve them is in content like we do with anything else. Yeah? Yeah. The backers and the who, sorry? Oh, the advisors. So if you go to the Orange Paper, you'll see the team. The team is, I think it's quite an impressive team, actually. I mean, except for me, we've got some really talented people on there. Paul, who's our designer and the co-founder with me, literally everything that you see here and everything that you've seen today has been designed by Paul. Paul is the designer extraordinaire, except for the videos. He's the one that comes up with the design language of the brand and the color palette and everything else. I love this. I haven't changed. This is a mistake, by the way, guys, but I just love it. I think it's brilliant. It hasn't displayed properly in here, but I think it's quite abstract. So Paul has been involved in magazine and newspaper designs for over 30 years, if not more than that. He's worked on some of the biggest brands. He's worked on some of the biggest broadsheets. So he obviously understands the feel of what we're getting, and you can see from the layout of the designs of these. This is one of the game double page spread of the games of the kids magazine, and you can see the design elements. It's just beautiful. And again, Reigns, even with difficult games that don't have great artwork, Paul makes them look incredible. So Paul is the designer. The next person that we should probably talk about is Vita. Now, if some of you have been involved in VR spaces and know much about the VR spaces, there's no Kobe Bryant here, by the way. You'll know of Somnium Space VR. Somnium Space was launched, I think, in 2017-ish, if I'm not mistaken, 18. I'm not quite sure, but it's touted as one of the biggest VR spaces in the multiverses and metaverses, and Vita was one of the co-founders on Somnium Space. He fell in love with Checkpoint, and he's been an incredible asset and advisor to us, and he's helped build and flesh out the tokenomics and the kind of the future strategy of what we're doing, and obviously he comes with highly experienced from Somnium Space is an incredibly successful VR space, so we're very lucky to have Vita on board. We've also got Simon Tucker. Simon Tucker is he comes from the same background as me, so broadcasting really, but he does stuff for, let's just say, they do live event streams for some very big companies, and I can mention the Grammys, I can mention Red Bull, and I can mention Microsoft. So and one of the ideas is that we'll be using that platform to create live events within our multiverse. Shh, don't tell anybody. So there's all of that stuff going on as well. The next person that probably we should talk about is, so we've spoken about Vita, Andrew Ziali. Now, Andrew is one of the top crypto lawyers in the world. Andrew was responsible for the sale of Mojang's Minecraft to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. And he's very, very versed in crypto law and all of that kind of stuff. So Andrew is our legal counsel. I think so. That's Andrew, me, Paul, Vita, and Simon, and I think that's pretty much the team as such. We have other people that are working with us that we know on a personal level. One of the original Cardano developers is a friend of ours, and what I'm trying to say is that we're well connected between a lot of us, and everybody that's seen the project loves it. The other thing to note is that I think Nick might tell me off for saying this, but everything that you see and everything that we've done has been done off our own budget. We've bootstrapped the whole project, and we've created a brand that is respected, I think looks amazing, and is really informative and fun, not just for the grown-ups but for children as well. And there's a variety of stuff, and I think that's one of the things that when people see what we've done, and when we talk about the team, that's the team for the crypto, but the team for the magazine and the content is literally three of us. There's me, there's Paul, there's Chris who does the kids magazine, and we have contributors that contribute content to the magazine as well. But again, all of that is done because they love the magazine and they can see the potential of it as well. I'm just showing you some of the pages from the kids magazine. One of the things I really like showing is the word bank. We have a word bank in each of the kids magazines. Each magazine, like the main magazine or the adult magazine or the grown-up magazine, is themed. So what we do is we create a list of vocabulary words that we repeat within the magazine so that the kids really stick. And if you press the button in the magazine, that will play the sound and it'll give you the definition. So it'll tell you how to pronounce the word. Here are the learning materials that we do. You download them directly from the magazine. Here's some examples of the kind of interactivity and the kind of cool stuff that we do. So we do Bee Simulator and we do Did You Knows. So we give the kids loads of cool information. This is the video that I was talking to you about with the lesson plan. I really just want to quickly touch this, Nick, before you ask another question, because this is a really important thing. This is the lesson that we took Sonic into. So we went to Sega and we said, listen, we've created a lesson plan for design and technology. That was the subject matter. This school is low income, problematic children, not particularly the top sets of anything, so that they have a real problem with this particular set in school. So what we did was we created this lesson, we showed them Sonic's colours, and we split the class into two, and we asked the children to create a wisp for Sonic that will help Sonic. So if you played Sonic Colours or you've played Sonic Colours Ultimate, you'll know the wisps. They help Sonic, they enhance him with power-ups. And then you've got Dr. Eggman's robots who are tasked with catching Sonic without harming him. So we split the class in half, and then we split them into groups of 4 or 5. And then what we did was we asked them to design either a wisp or a robot to catch Sonic. Sega came into the class with us, and I remember the PR person when we took her in. She was actually crying at the end of it because the children's engagement was so high. These children don't usually engage with anything, and when we took Sonic in, you'll see when we took the game in, you can see that the excitement and the engagement that they had with it. So after they did their designs, they then presented it to each other in the class. Those are the worksheets that you see are the worksheets that we designed, that we've created. Everything that you can see, all of these worksheets are done by us. They're rigorously checked. All of our learning materials come with all of the resources, so teachers don't need to do any kind of background research or any worksheets or anything. Literally everything that you need for the lessons come with them. And then they presented their ideas to the class, which was amazing. And then we got them to present their ideas to Aaron, who's the executive producer of Sonic. So he has the final say on what goes in and out of Sonic. So they actually spoke to this guy, Aaron Roseman, who actually, he was amazed by what the children had done, and to be able to get the children speaking to the guy that's responsible for the game blows the children's minds. He was so impressed with them that he was going to take some of the ideas and maybe try to work them into some DLC or into a future Sonic game. But that kind of engagement, that kind of... and this is without them playing the game, right? They understand Sonic, they know Sonic. The questions that they had was incredible. So that engagement, I think, is key to what we do. Anyway, I just love that. I think that's a really great example of the stuff that we're doing, and it's something that I'm really quite proud of. I'm getting quite wound up, actually. Anyway, next question. Okay. It's a great question. I think the simple answer is you can't force people into a world that they don't want to be a part of, which is why having that browser-based accessibility is so important, because what that does is it's almost like a Web 2.5, right? So it's kind of halfway between, it's using the technology of Web 0.3, but it's not actually expecting the user to interact or engage in that particular way. So that's why making the browser-based multiverse is a priority for us, because what it does is it showcases and it gives them an introduction into the world, and it familiarizes them with the kind of the concept of what they're doing and how they're going to interact with that world. Now, like I say, it's not our job to move people into that world. What our job is to make sure that there is content for people that are coming into the Web 3.0 world for them to engage with. It doesn't matter whether you engage with Checkpoint in Web 2 or Web 3. It really doesn't matter to us. We're really excited about Web 3. We're really pushing all of the stops out with Web 3, as you can see. And we would love people to visit us in Web 3.0. But the point of the matter is that we can't force them to. And as long as our content is accessible, no matter where that is, then that's the most important for us. We are all about accessibility, affordability, and we want people to engage with the brand no matter which way they want to engage with it. So yes, we will push, we will promote, we will be here, but the point is that you will always find high quality content in our world. So no matter which way you choose to interact with us, you'll have that. But while we're just waiting for Nick, I'm just going to point out, because I'll move on to the next bit. These are some of the artwork that the kids have sent into the magazine, and we feature all of this stuff in the magazine. So with the lesson plans that we provide, they then send in the work that they've done, and we put them in the magazine as galleries, so that the kids can get involved with them as well. I've shown you all the DigiKnows. I just wanted to show you that because we have those. We have the guest editor pages, we have the school pages, but we also showcase the kids' work in the magazine so they can pick it up and go, oh my god, that's amazing. All of our front covers are also animated for the kids' magazines, and as you can see, we never show kids games that are not age appropriate for them. So I think that I just wanted to kind of write that out quickly. Sorry, Nick, what were you saying? I just walked into a wall. Next question. Yeah, I'm going to travel to the classroom as we're doing this. Oh, great question. First of all, I have to say this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Look, I'm still invested because I think, and I've invested in this because I think, how do I put it? Look, decentralization is a big thing, and without going into the philosophy of my philosophies and my ethics and my morals and all of that kind of stuff, this is a real chance for us to decentralize the powerhouses like Facebook, like Google. And I'm very aware that I'm on Oculus at the moment in their space, promoting something for free. But it's almost like shoving it to the man, right? So it's a really, I think, and this is only, I have to stress, this is my opinion, my thoughts based on my experience and my background and the things that I witness. The blockchain has the potential to change the world on every level. It allows a better free market economy by eliminating the middleman, even though the middleman is now bloody gas fees at the moment. It allows for a more transparent economy, especially when you come to kind of developing and third world countries. I hate that phrase because the infrastructure allows for them to change the way that their economy works. I think from an IP perspective as a journalist, it's a really important piece of technology because it allows you to... We live in a world with misinformation and disinformation, and a lot of the times, a lot of the things that we hear that have become, truth are not truth, and they've been debunked, but because they've been spread so quickly across social media platforms, it's very hard to verify news stories and to verify, and this is one of the reasons why I left the BBC back in 2007 actually, was because Twitter came about and we weren't, as a news agency, we were not verifying news stories, and it infuriated me. Now just think about that on a level of when you start thinking about AI and smart AI and fake AI. How do you know that your president or your prime minister or your mother or your whoever it is when they've been manipulated? And we've seen it, we know this is one of the things with big data, we can manipulate people to make deep fakes. Deep fake exists, they already exists, and I think the blockchain has a role in making sure that we can verify that what we're seeing is true because it's on a public ledger. There are many advantages to the blockchain. The problem that we have right now, and this again, personal view, is the global economy is what drives those change, and the global economy needs to collapse in order for, or at least not be as powerful as it is, in order for crypto, not necessarily even crypto, for the blockchain to really take a hold, because that will liberate people, it'll liberate economies. But what I also think it'll do, again, personal opinions, is that it'll eliminate things like sovereignty and nationalities and borders and boundaries, which I think is a great thing in the long term. I think, generally speaking, we all need to be working together. We've got bigger issues to be dealing with than the stupid things that we're dealing with. We've got climate change to deal with. We've got economic poverty. There's a huge amount of kind of big things that humanity needs to come together and deal with. And I think that the blockchain is a really good start, especially when you have projects like Cardano and you've decentralized it all. You're allowing the people to make a decision on the future. So I'm sorry it's quite a philosophical answer and a little bit probably longer than you expected, probably made no sense, but blockchain is a really important part of our future. Whether that includes the multiverse, whether that includes anything else, the blockchain technology, I think, has the potential to change everything. And we haven't even spoken about quantum physics and quantum computing yet, which once that happens, it will change the face of the blockchain completely as well. I'm in a classroom.
Thank you. I'll let you
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, I'll run through these quickly. This is our private classroom. In here, we'll be able to deliver lessons, teacher training plans. We've already written a teacher training plan so that we show teachers how we write our lesson plans, which is really cool. So very quickly, just wanted to show you this. And then from here, I'm going to take you into probably my favourite room. We'll go in here quickly. And I'm going to take you to the kids' gallery. Now, the kids' gallery is my favourite room because when the kids submit the work to us, obviously we want to showcase everything, but we can't do it all in the magazine. So we've created a gallery room to showcase all of the kids' work, so that they can come in here, or they can come on the browser eventually, and that they can show their parents or show their friends, or even meet with their friends in here and go, look, there's my stuff. So this is all stuff. This is from Knights and Bikes. We had this, I think 6 or 7 year olds were making out of paper plates their kind of characters in Knights and Bikes, and that's, I think, Amelia. I don't know who that is. I don't know. I think that's Amelia, and I think that's Finley. So these are from one school. We used Ori to talk about the importance of protecting the forest. So we got the kids they did a whole music lesson actually, because the music in Ori is just so beautiful. And we got the composer from Ori to speak to the children as well, which was amazing. So he was able to talk to them about how he composed the music, and then they were tasked with creating a character like Ori that would be protecting the forest. So they sent this stuff through. The crazy bunny. I always point this out because I still don't understand this. If I'm being honest, it's a flaming bunny and I don't understand it. But I love it. I think it's amazing. So we've got all of these characters, more bikes and knights. Here's the board game that I was talking to you guys about. Now, when I was talking about kind of building props and props and stuff in the thing, well, you will be able to play this board game in one of our rooms eventually. Here we did something about city planning, so about how would you plan a city. So they had to think about the road layout and where they'd put things like places of worship and supermarkets and housing and services and all that kind of stuff. So again, we use games like SimCity, which are simulations effectively, or Cities XL or Pocket City, so that it really allows the children to think about infrastructure and laying roads and traffic flow, which they did. So they presented what they did to us, and we did it. The other one we did was Planet Zoo. So we asked them to create a leaflet about a new zoo that was opening, and so they did all of these amazing leaflets for us, giving us the opening times, the price for entry, all that kind of stuff, what the zoo kind of focused on. So this one, it focuses on endangered animals. So this space will constantly change, and it'll always have something from the kids. The kids will come here and they will see their work being distributed or being displayed here, and they can showcase it. By the way, just for anybody that's been thinking, all of the stuff that we show from the kids, they've all signed permission slips. They've all got parents' permissions. We do not put things out. If somebody sends us something that their parents or their guardian hasn't signed it, it will not go in the magazine. Safeguarding children is one of our main priorities, which is why we don't advertise to them. And in the actual magazine itself, there is a... Oh, I'm going to have to plug the headset in. There is an actual... that's the wrong cable. Bear with me, guys. There is an actual permission slip form that parents will be able to fill out as well. So that's all in place as well. Let me just plug this in. Give me 1 second, guys. My head rotation might be a little bit limited as well now. So that's what we've got in the kids magazine, which is really quite cool. And I think the only other room that I haven't shown you in here is the waiting room. But to be honest with you, it's not that exciting. I'll take you there anyway. Once I've finished that, I'll just quickly show you the planetarium, because I think it's important that you guys get an idea of what the planetarium looks like, because there's stuff in there that we will be utilising. Sorry, I'm trying to move my head because the cable's now plugged in. God, how long have we been on here? This is one of our longest ones, Nick, isn't it? Nearly 2 hours. Sorry if anybody's got other stuff to do. I wanted to show you this room very quickly because this will be kind of like our marketplace, effectively. So you'll be able to buy merchandise from here. But also it's a waiting room, so you can jump in from... you can meet people here, or you can chill out here. And again, the background will all be kind of Infiniiverse eventually in time. But it's just a little space. So if you can imagine this will be our desk, and you'll be able to buy stuff from our marketplace in here. So we're going to redesign this room a little bit so that you guys can see it. Now, let's go to the planetarium. This is quite exciting. Do I go to the planetarium? I'll go to the planetarium really quickly. So you've seen Checkpoint, you've seen V1 of Checkpoint. The planetarium will basically be V2. V3 will come later, what we're already working on, but V2 already exists. It's a lot more interactive space, as you can see. There's much more going on. The stands that I was talking about, that you can press the buttons and be able to listen to the content, you'll be able to do that here, right? We'll be able to put stuff on stands, like the obviously Discovery here, which is amazing. You'll be able to interact with it and look at it, learn more about it. There'll be more stuff like this because we actually have access to, we can do stuff within the games industry. But more importantly, we're going to have props that you'll be able to pick up and play with. So I always play with the rockets because I think they're amazing. I always try to get one orbiting. Actually, what we'll do is if we go down here, let's see if we can get this one orbiting Earth. Well, we missed it completely. But yeah, so we'll be able to pick up elements and play with them and interact with them in a way that you wouldn't be able to in otherwise. And this is all part and parcel of what we're doing. We've already created assets, which I can't tell you too much about, that will be available. There's Mercury, look. So you can see, and I said in the yesterday that this is an accurate representation of the stars. Well, I spoke to San yesterday and he said it wasn't. It's just a skybox. They will be bringing in that stuff soon. But yeah, so these are all portals. This will take you directly. So in the same way you can go to the different planets, you can go and check out the different planets' rooms as well. So this is what the Checkpoint rooms will eventually become, will eventually look like. And you'll be able to, this is cool stuff. You'll be able to just try to chuck stuff around and mess around with stuff, which is quite nice. So that hopefully gives you a very quick idea of the multiverse. Now, I've mentioned the Infiniverse, so I'm going to do that very quickly. This is in pre-beta. So as you were looking at the balconies, outside of the balconies, for example, and I told you it's going to be replaced with the Infiniverse. This is what it's going to be replaced with. So you will see this is a live space, and I think San said it's 400 square kilometers already in size, and it is basically a cityscape. And these are the size skyscrapers. These are all buildings. These buildings are all occupied by people. So if we just have a quick look at the apartments, every single one of these apartments, you'll see that their faces will start popping up in a minute. Every single one of these apartments is owned by somebody. They're worth real money at the moment. And we're talking obviously about, you can get the idea. I think you get the idea of what's happening here. Excuse the kind of the frame boxing. It's still in beta, but still quite good. But if you can see that there are loads and loads of apartments here that you can be buying, and they all belong to people. This is Sans Room, so just to put that in perspective, if you take off, it's 2 zeros. So this property, when it first came out, was probably worth $1.50. It's now worth, if we take that as a straight thing, it's $640 pretty much, and that's in real money. So without going into too much detail, you can imagine the potential when we get this on the Cardano blockchain and we look at it as an NFT. It's insane. And there are shop fronts that you'll be able to access. So you will be able to access the checkpoint storefront we're going to build hopefully a gaming district. There's already a gaming district in here. There's a metro station, which is quite cool. So the Multiverse Metro, which I don't think works quite yet, or it might be, but you can see that checkpoint will be one of these buildings, and you'll be able to buy properties within the checkpoint building. We can even do things like private member clubs and all that kind of stuff that if we want to. So I mean, I just wanted to quickly give you a quicker idea of the Infiniiverse, which I haven't done much of anyway. But yeah, I'm going to take off the headset now, and I'll switch on the camera if you want, and you guys can carry on asking the questions. Unless Nick, you want to call it a day there, then let me know. But I'll just take off the headset, and I'll switch on the camera. Right. Let's switch on the camera. Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for that, and sorry it took a little bit longer than expected. You can see that my nose is a little bit of a mess. So yeah, any more questions?
Yeah, there are more questions. Let's do one or two of them, then I'll give you guys.
Okay, cool.